and good evening. Thank you for jumping on, checking this episode out. By now, a lot of y'all know that we like to, before we get into, the basketball stuff, we always like to take a few minutes and talk about the day a little bit and, have some fun, make some jokes, do some banter. It just doesn't feel right given the circumstances. A lot of you by now already know, I'm sure, but if you haven't heard the news, it's just kind of coming in as we get it. But it appears that several members of the Boston Celtics have gone missing. It's truly shocking and a little heartbreaking, just because of the uncertainty around these types of situations. Appears we don't have a full confirmed list yet, and we're just, like I said, we're getting this information as it comes in. But confirmed, we know that Malcolm Brogdon, Al Horford, Marcus Smart, and I'm actually hearing that Jaylen Brown is also confirmed to be members confirmed to be missing of the Boston Celtics. It appears that the timelines are all different here, so bear with me, but it appears Al Horford's been missing, in fact, since Sunday, as well as Malcolm Brogdon. And getting an update here, it looks like Jaylen Brown has been missing since the second half of today's game against the Sixers, which was in Boston. Look, I'm just figuring this all out. There's going to be a hotline number here soon. If you find out any information, I'll go ahead and leave it probably in the description. Go ahead and shoot a text or call. It's kind of a lot for me to I know a lot of you guys who found me are Celtics fans too, so this is kind of tough, and I know it's a really shitty way to start an episode, because we're just here to talk about basketball and enjoy it, but when something this serious happens, it just feels like we have to address it. That being said, there was basketball tonight. Basketball goes on whether players show up or not. And the result, as you may envision, with all those players missing from the Boston Celtics, it was kind of an easy, one-sided affair, and an easy win for the Philadelphia 76ers. With all that being out of the way, I guess we just have to get into it. We'll just tackle the basketball stuff. Look, player that did show up for the Celtics, Jason Tatum. You love to see it. He's a superstar among superstars at only age 25 years old. He did it all tonight. He missed some shots. He was not great to start this game. First quarter rolls out 0 for 5. After that was 50% for the field. And just active on defense this whole game. Active. Made his presence felt and really gave a shit out there. Really put it all out there and said, I'm not going to leave without laying out some effort. And he went down shooting, and his shooting actually was really pretty good outside of that first quarter. That is a bit of a trend for Tatum this series, sadly. He has not had the best starts, but he has finished strong. Game 4, I thought he put on just a masterclass in the second half. 22 second half points, got it done on the glass. 18 boards, was just made his presence felt. Would get a rebound, bust his ass down the other end, score. Would get a huge stop, get a block. He's averaging over a block and a half in this playoff run. He's really been awesome on both sides of the ball for the most part. And he's the only player I know that could go get damn near a 20-20 game and then have his ability called into question by fans of his own team's fan base. And that'll never go away. It just is what it is. When you are the guy, you're always going to have your talent and ability and effort called into question. But he did not leave anything in the tank tonight. So shout out to you, Jason Tatum. You did your part. It's not your fault you're playing with JV guys. Jaylen Brown, don't box score my ass. Okay, I won't hear it. I don't want to hear that he was 9 for 16, 2 for 3 from 3. I don't care. I watched this game. I watched every game this series. Pretty much every game this series, he has just gone away in the second half. The game 4 with the overtime, he took 3 shots across all of the fourth quarter in overtime. And I don't see a guy who is seeking out the ball. I don't see a guy who is trying to get involved. I see a guy who's actually maybe even collecting the inbounds pass and then getting to about the hash mark or just past half court and then picking up his dribble. I see a guy who is getting the ball in space and then passing it. I see a guy who, I'm not going to say he looks shy or timid. It wasn't that long ago. I would never accuse Jaylen Brown of doing that or having those characteristics, but that's kind of what he's been recently. And he was that again tonight. I saw a guy who missed a ton of free throws in the fourth quarter that really mattered at home. And, I saw a team that got booed and deserved it. I saw Al Horford miss everything, literally everything, over everything. And this team was disappointing tonight. This team was really disappointing. It's really easy to overreact, but you're one game away from having your season ended, and you were arguably moments away from being up 3-1 on a Sixers team that you should be done with by now, or close to done with by now. It's not to say they don't have the MVP of this league. It's not to say they don't have a former MVP of this league, James Harden. It's not to say they're not well coached, as easy as it is to rag on Doc Rivers. It's not to say that they're not a deserving team. They were a 3 seed. But the Celtics team comes with expectations, and it's because they are a much better team, and they should have already put this away or close to it. We should be going into Thursday with closeout ambitions. They won 2 straight. They won games 2 and 3 after coming out slow in game 1. They only lose by 4 in game 1. After game 2, you feel like they've had the grip on the series thus far. After game 3, they win that game. You've, of course, double down on feeling like that. And they showed like the time TNT did the stat, I think in game 3, where it was like, the start of game 4 was like however many minutes each team has spent with a lead in the series, and the Celtics were it was like 100 minutes to like 15 for the Sixers. It was like, it was just a ridiculous it just felt very lopsided, although they had stolen game 1. But then they still game 4. I went into game 4 thinking it's really hard to win 3 games in a row in a playoff series. It's really hard to win both of the first road games. So I kind of went into it with the mindset that I'd be okay with 2-2, a 2-2 series tie. And then we were down 15, and I was like, yeah, that's just kind of how these things go. You can always predict it, but then predictably so, a Sixers crumble, they blow a big lead. We actually were the king of blowing big leads all regular season, but we actually came back in that one and squandered it. Got a good look to close regulation. I don't love that Marcus Smart took both the shots to end regulation and overtime. You can say which one about the overtime one. He cashed it. But, it was obviously half a second too late. There was a lot of things that went wrong with that play. And I'm not putting those shots on Marcus Smart. I just don't know how he ended up with the ball in those situations both times on very similar plays. I have been very defensive of Joe Mazzulla all year, and I still think he's a really good coach. I think he's doing a really good job for the cards he was dealt. He did not think he was going to be a head coach of an NBA team, even 3 weeks prior to the season starting. So given all of that, I say he's done a pretty damn good job, and I'm extremely proud of the job he's done. And I think it's real easy to get lost in the mix of competition and wanting to win. And this team is no stranger to deep playoff runs, and it's just hard to be thrust into that situation. But regardless, these are the stakes. This is the stage. This is your job, and he's learning on the fly, and I think he's doing a good job, but it's obviously not enough. And it does sting knowing, the Udoka situation, and then seeing a guy like Will Hardy get let go for nothing. It even stings when you remember that like Brad Stevens is like an amazing X's and O's guy, and he's in the front office, and he's proven to be an excellent executive. For what it's worth, although Malcolm Brogdon's currently missing, and will probably soon pop up in China, playing basketball with Dwight Howard or whatever, Jimmer for dad, he was the sixth man of the year, and another excellent acquisition by Stevens and the Celtics. And this is not a Missoula thing, right? Like tonight, it was effort and shots didn't fall. And I love Al Horford to death. And he's right there with Tatum as far as game 4 superstar, like reasons we're even in a game that we were trailing by 15. But sometimes I look at Horford and I'm pissed, and I know he's older, and I know he can't go 100% the full 48. I understand that. I do. I watch this team every night for the past 8 months. I get it. But sometimes I just question, like, how much more energy does it take to leave a hand up when Embiid, I just don't know if these guys are even watching film. And I know it's easy to sit back from my office chair and say that. But I've been watching Joel Embiid since he came into the league, and most recently, he just made a whole MVP campaign based off of a lot of those catch the ball at the elbow. And if I don't have a blow by or a lane to drive on, if I'm given space, I'm 7'2", 7'3", I can get this mid-range shot off of, I can get it over anybody. But when Al pressured him, put pressure on the ball, put pressure on the shot, put a hand in his face, blocked his, visibility of the basket in game 4, at the end of game 4, it wasn't until game 4 when they got back in it that he started really pressuring his shot. And I get it. You don't want to give up easy 2. You don't want to play up so close that you give up an easy lane in the basket, but you can't give up those easy jump shots either, because he's tremendous at those. And I just am like screaming at the TV. He's about to shoot it. He's about to shoot it. Put a hand up. Put a hand up. But that just so seldom seems to be the case. And Embiid's just incredible. And when you add on to the fact, and I'm not blaming him for this, but when you add on to the fact he's impossible to officiate, and he's seemingly impossible to guard. I mean, I don't know what to do, man. Sometimes you can go up with straight up verticality, meet him at the basket, and if there's contact, even if it's initiated by him, yeah, they're going to call the foul. And it's just how it is. And it's like that with Giannis, and it's like that with Embiid, and it's like that with a lot of players. And he's crafty, and he knows how to draw that contact, and he will seek it out and embrace it. And he's just a phenomenal foul shooter. Seriously, I mean, it feels like most nights half of his points come from the stripe, and it's not a knock on him, but it is frustrating, and it does get this team in foul trouble pretty quick. Yeah, man. Foul trouble too. Been a part of this series as well. Obviously, most notably Tatum in game 3, but that wasn't even a game, and it ended up not mattering. And Tatum kind of got himself a kind of a low key rest night. Brown, to his credit, he's had some fouls called on him that have been kind of wishy-washy, kind of bullshit. But then tonight, I mean, he comes down flying off the ball, just shoves Tucker in the chest early on in the second quarter, and now he's got 2 quick ones, and then he immediately gets a third right after that. And it's just like, where's your head at? Where's your head at if you're Jaylen Brown on some of these fouls? Like, because you're gonna have to you're guarding Harden, and you're guarding, you're on the floor with Joel Embiid. You're gonna draw fouls. You're gonna foul guys. So to have, you're gonna have legitimate fouls. So then the bullshit ones, like just shoving Tucker in the chest off the ball on a play that ultimately just doesn't matter, I mean, one, it's a turnover, but two, yeah, it's a foul, and you're kind of precious to this team. You're gonna make second team or third team All NBA here in a couple of days, and we're gonna pay you like it. Um, I, let's just live with the Jaylen Brown thing here for a second. I'm like I'm like a little worried. Um, I'm a little worried about Jaylen Brown's future as a Celtic. I just don't see a guy that's just that engaged. Um, and at times he'll come out of the gate like a raging bull, and he'll look like he is on fire for the Celtics in the city of Boston and wants to win more than anything. But then he'll come out in the second half either deflated or looking passive or looking less than 100% intense. He'll go to like tonight's post-game press conference couldn't be more nonchalant. And I get not wanting to be, you just got your ass handed to you on a silver platter at home. You got booed. I get not being very enthusiastic, and maybe I am making too much of it, but I don't know. I think no matter what, he's gonna make All NBA, right, and he's gonna be eligible for a Supermax, and I don't think there's going to be much negotiation at that table. I think it's going to be, hey, I want the super max or whatever, the all NBA max, whatever it is. And the Celtics going to say, maybe they'll budge or, try to get the price down a little bit, but they'll probably just walk in and just say, here is X amount of dollars, whatever the max is. But that doesn't guarantee his future in Boston long term. And I just don't know. I'm getting like 12 to 15% Kyrie vibes, and it's not a mistake that they're like, I guess they're buddies or they've kept in touch since he left. But I'm getting some free spirit. I'm the number one option. But I mean, if he felt like that, if he felt like he was the number one option, he should be more aggressive. Point blank, he needs to be more aggressive. I'm rooting for Jaylen to be more aggressive. I love Jaylen Brown. I do. I really do. But he can be so aggravating. And clearly, look, I was going to talk about, I still will. I still think I'm going to talk about the Suns and the Lakers and the Nuggets and how Jokic is literally not from this planet. But let's just spend a little bit more time here. Jaylen Brown's not better than Jason Tatum. Shut up. And Jason Tatum is probably my favorite player of the last 10 years. Right there with like Isaiah Thomas and Rajon Rondo. But look, seriously, like the debates are absolutely like, I'm trying so hard to not drop an F-bomb in between every word here. They're asinine. They're crazy. Okay. Jaylen Brown is an excellent player. And when he's on, and he could go and get 60 next game. He's that capable. Jaylen Brown is. Maybe not 60. He can go have 40 on great shooting and turn the ball over only 2 or 3 times. I just don't see it enough. Most importantly, I really enjoyed his defense in game 2 and game 3 on Harden. I thought Brown gave Harden real trouble with his size. It's clear as day that as good a defender as Derek White is, and nod to Derek White, he's also missing. By the way, I forgot to do that in the opening. Derek White's also missing. He hasn't been seen since Atlanta. I think we might have left him in Atlanta. Derek White. What was I saying? Oh, Derek White, second team All NBA announced today. Very well deserved. Marcus Smart's just not even. I don't even know if Marcus Smart got a vote for any of the defensive stuff, and deservedly so. He's just, I don't know. I've got a note that says Marcus Smart's over the hill. I don't know if he's like over the hill, but all year he's looked a step slow probably a couple steps slow for honest. And I don't know. I don't even know if he's a starter for this team anymore. Like if he should be, I don't know. But then again, Derek White was the clear like successor to him. And then he's not been great this series after being awesome in much of the Atlanta series. I was doing Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown gave Harden real trouble in games 2 and 3. He then kind of got into foul trouble early on in game 4, so he couldn't really guard Harden, and then Harden went off to have a great game. Although I thought in the second half, when Brown started the second half with only 3 fouls, I thought it was appropriate to put him back on Harden, because Brown's value in this series has been at its peak when he's just focused on taking Harden out of the game. And when he was doing that, you couldn't have told me that that I would be in this way that I am right now and talking about Kyrie vibes with Jaylen Brown. But man, it's just been it's been a crazy 48-hour switch, and I think I am just in the dumps, as is this team. But I don't know. So maybe I shouldn't spend too much more time on it, because I don't want to like then eat all these words, because the Celtics. Y'all ready? The Celtics are winning in 7. Okay, the Celtics are winning in 7. The Sixers team has never been better than the Celtics. They aren't better than the Celtics. They just aren't. And if we can deduce a lot of reasons why this team didn't play up to their standards tonight. I don't know why, but if you don't think this team could win 2 in a row against Philly, come on. And then they get a deciding game 7 at home. They did this against Milwaukee last year, and Milwaukee was better than the Sixers team is, even without Middleton. I mean, just for the fact that they had the best player in the league in Giannis. We went into Milwaukee, grinded it out, fought for our playoff lives, won in Milwaukee, and then Game 7 Grant. And I didn't get to that. There's too much to get to, honestly, but Grant Williams should be playing more. I'm sorry. He should be playing more. And I totally believe in the fact that I think Mazzulla's gotten more comfortable in his role, and I see him kind of tearing into guys at certain points of the game. And, he gets mic'd up for like all these games. And he'll raise his voice. He's not afraid to really let these guys know some stuff in those timeouts and those huddles. But he can be a real soft-spoken, real, just gentle guy. Somebody needs to go in that locker room and just rip ass. Like, seriously, like, just tear their ass up and just say, if it was me, like, once again, real easy to say from my office chair. But somebody needs to go in that locker room after that game and say, how on God's green earth did you let those 5 of Hauser, Pritchard, Williams, and I don't know who the other 2 were, like, let's just call it Muscala and Griffin. I was half alive at that point, but they came in and they just came in and they just showed incredible effort. They just came, like, the game was well out of reach, and they cut it to like almost single digits. They were like a Peyton Pritchard in and out 3 from cutting it to single digits, and then having Mazzulla and Rivers have to think about, do we need to put our starters back in? And they showed more effort in that last couple of minutes than the Celtics' first 8 did in the entire game. There was a stretch where Pritchard like got real minutes, and I was like, okay, I love Pritchard. Like, honestly, I really do. I don't think that we should be doing that. I don't know what the knock on Grant is right now. Earlier this year, he got bumped out of the rotation, and it made sense because he couldn't hit the side of fucking barn. And he also just wasn't, I don't know. I don't think his defense was as good this season. But I tell you what, he checks into this game and is just giving Embiid hell. And it doesn't mean he's going to stop him on every play. It doesn't mean he's ever going to stop him, honestly. But Embiid's having to, like, fight to get around him because Williams he's so much smaller than Embiid. He's not going to play behind him. He gets in front of him and just is great at some of the ball denial stuff. And he'll just take him out of a play. And he got 2 quick fouls, and I understand you had to pull him, but I thought we'd see him again. And we just didn't really see much of him again. But at this point, it's going to have to be a mix of talent and effort. Who gives a shit? Okay? Because I know Tatum does. I think Tatum plans on being here next year. I just can't say the same about Brown right now. And I know that's probably just like fallacy in my head. Maybe it was just an off night. Like I said, we're not far removed from games 2 and 3 where I was like on fire for Jaylen Brown. And I still love Jaylen Brown. That's not to be confused or lost here. Right? It's just, I just don't feel very good after tonight's game. I just don't. And I've spent almost a half hour on it. And I just feel worse, actually. I just feel way worse about it. And I've been king optimism all season, but it's time to fucking win. Okay? It's time to win. It's time to win. You're down 3-2 now. You're literally 1 loss away from being out of this shit. And it's not okay. This isn't going to be Giannis. The deeper my team gets into this and gets themselves into this hole, losing to Philly on Thursday would be a failure. Try not to curse, man. This is so frustrating, but it'd be a failure. So Giannis can take his cute little notions about losing to Miami in 5 and saying it's not a failure. It's a failure. For this team, it's a failure. Hey, look. Let's flip the hourglass real quick. Let's do a Boston. I'm done talking about this series. Big picture Boston stuff. Okay. Big picture Boston stuff. The Celtics have been doing this for a while now. These deep playoff runs started with Tatum's rookie year. Okay. Perceptually, kind of a curse. Those teams were weird, man. They weren't ever really as good as I think they appeared. On paper, that in 2017, their best player was Isaiah Thomas. He ends up not even playing the back half of that series. They take LeBron James and a shitty Cavs team 7 games. And, they almost did it, too. They almost, Jason Tatum and Co. and Jaylen Brown in his second year almost made the finals, like in 2017. So that's when the clock kind of started for this team. And even if that was unfair, you keep going through it. Really the most a devastating one. It started to become devastating around the bubble, like 2020, because that's when Tatum started to we could really see it with him. And then losing that Heat series, it felt like that was a super winnable series, and just couldn't do it. 2021, shortened season, bounce out early to the Nets because of, Jaylen Brown was injured, and that Nets team was just kind of on a mission. They're famously a Kevin Durant shoe size away from being in the finals here because, his toes on the line on that 3-point shot, and that would have probably sent them, they could have had them advance past Milwaukee, go to the finals, play the Suns, could have totally changed NBA history right there. 2022 finals. And so that's kind of the benchmark for this team now. Let's just run through some stuff. I have a little thing for you. And it's not I'm not going to try to sway you or make you feel better or get you to think differently about all this stuff, but check this out. Playoff teams and their best players draft class. Denver. We'll start out west. Denver. Nikola Jokic, 2-time league MVP. 2014 draft. Suns. Kevin Durant, 2008 draft. Warriors, Stephen Curry, 2000. Actually, Durant, 2007 or 2006. Doesn't matter. 06 or 07 draft. I actually forget. Curry, 08 draft. Lakers, LeBron, obviously, 2003. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. But also Davis, who actually probably has been the best player for them this playoffs, 2012. Knicks, Brunson, 2018. Brunson's been better than Randall right now. Randall was 2014. But the Knicks are kind of exempt from this exercise. They've been, they're a team that's not doing anything, right? Heat, Jimmy Butler, 2011 draft. 76ers, Embiid, 2014 draft, never been to a finals. Butler, 0-1 in the finals. Randall, Brunson, obviously no finals. Lakers, LeBron, a million finals. Davis, 1-0 in the finals. Curry, incredible, four chips. Durant, 2 chips. Jokic, none. Point of that exercise is Boston's example is Tatum with the 2017 draft. And I think Boston gets launched into this group with other teams and other players because of what we just talked about. They've been at the forefront of some deep playoff runs, and they've, you're just used to seeing them play deep into May. And so you kind of forget their best player just turned 25. Like, this was his age 24 season. He just turned 25. Brown, 2016 draft. He is now 26. It's not nothing. Okay. Embiid, 2014 draft. Never been to a finals, right? Butler. I mean, you gotta remember, Butler's been doing this shit for a while. 2011, been to the finals one time, 0-1, same record as Tatum, but now Butler is him, and Butler is Himothy, and he's incredible. And it's like, Durant 08, even Booker 2015, a couple years before Tatum. You could say Booker made the finals in 2021 as well, but wasn't lighting the world on fire. They did lose. Point being, right? Like, old guys rule in the playoffs. Okay, like, old guys rule. LeBron is kicking ass in the playoffs right now. Curry is kicking ass in the playoffs right now. Durant struggled tonight, but has been really good in the playoffs so far. Butler has been great in the playoffs so far. Jokic been great in the playoffs so far. These are guys who have been in the league for over a decade or close to it. And we're putting all of this on a guy who's been in the league 6 years. And this isn't like excuses. This isn't trying to get you to change your perception about this team, but it is that the fact that Boston is an outlier. Like, they are different. Like, they are young. Their 2 best players are really young compared to the rest of the pack, right? Like, Tatum's peers are probably closer to Luka and Trey, and maybe even Zion a little bit. Those are kind of more closely his peers. And, we love to, give all the praise in the world to Luka Doncic, and at times it is deserved, but look, he didn't even get a play-in game, so it's just perspective stuff, guys. The world's not over if the Celtics don't make the conference finals. I don't believe in title or bust for most teams. I really believe the last time I thought that was probably the Kevin Durant Warriors teams. Pretty much every year they were assembled, if they were healthy, I thought that's title or bust. But I just don't. It's just not smart to think that year to year for a team. It may be title or bust for you, in your personal perception, but think about how insanely difficult that is. LeBron, over the course of 20 seasons, has won it 4 times. Right? 4 times he's won it, okay, over the course of 20 seasons. And he's the greatest player to ever do it. Okay, I think we just have some altered perceptions about recent champions, and you should be winning every year. You should be getting back to the finals every year. It just look at Giannis, dude. Giannis has that 21 title to be saving grace for maybe one more season. And then we're going to start calling into question his validity as being the game's best player. But he's at home. He got bounced by the 8 seed Miami, which Miami's not getting enough credit here. They've been nothing short of awesome in this playoffs. This without Tyler Hero, which starting to have some Ewing theory stuff there because they've been pretty awesome. And I personally thought Tyler Hero was like a huge loss for them. And I think it has been. I think they've missed his production and his creation, his shot making. But, they haven't really missed a beat to beat the Bucks in 5. They're potentially going to beat the Knicks in 5. I'm starting to get like all over the place and still talking in this really bummed out voice. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to put on a game face tomorrow. And then just be ready to watch this team in game 6. Like I said, I truly don't think it's the end of the world if, for whatever, I think they're going to win game 6. I think they're going to win the series, guys. If you're looking for blind optimism, for blind faith, if you just need somebody to put, their faith in the hat with you, that's going to be me. That's going to be me. For whatever godforsaken reason, this team is often at their best when their backs are flat pinned against a wall. Like going into tonight, their backs weren't really against the wall. There was like not zero pressure in this game, but you're at home, you're in a tied series. There's no real sense of urgency. This team, even against Atlanta, even a couple weeks ago, when there was a real sense of urgency, they found ways to kick it on, and figure it out. That being said, I think I should have closed that series out in 5. I think this series was doable in 5, and now it might be done in 6. I keep coming back to the Celtics thing, so I'm going to bury the Celtics thing. We're going to take a break. I'm going to come back with a little bit more positivity. We'll talk about Warriors, Lakers, and then we'll talk about a little bit about Jokic. So game 2 of tonight's doubleheader was Suns Nuggets, and I don't think I put like a hard prediction on this series, but I do remember picking the Nuggets. I do remember stating that I didn't think the Suns would have enough firepower. That was pre-Chris Paul injury. You add the Chris Paul injury, and there is admittedly a little bit of does this team play better without Chris Paul stuff. I don't know. I am the biggest Chris Paul hater of them all, and I'm still not really seeking those arguments out or going to push them too hard. I just think a 2-game sample size is just too little to really make that type of claim, especially when you consider their alternative is Cameron Payne, and Cameron Payne will never. Chris Paul could be 90 years old, and Cameron Payne could be in the prime of his career. He will never be better than Chris Paul. Cameron Payne should be on the first bus to China. Look, Jokic is a menace. He's incredible, and he is my MVP. And I know Embiid has been kicking my team's ass. And what does that say about either player or my interpretation of them? Jokic is just next level. Whatever Embiid is doing is great and awesome and so cool and great, and maybe it's sexier at times. I personally don't think so. I'm not in this for all the crazy highlights, as many are. I think Jokic's highlights are even better. I mean, this is just a guy who throws any pass he wants to at any time, and you're not going to get to it. You're not going to get to it. This level of passing, this offensive virtuoso that Jokic is maybe the most entertaining thing in the sport right now. So I can go on my rant and say that if the Celtics lose this series, that like this podcast is done and my fanhood is done until next season. That's probably crap. There's just too much good stuff going on in the sport right now for that to be true. And you know what? Maybe it'll be a blessing in disguise. Okay, I shouldn't be talking like this. Jokic he's just doing things that I haven't seen, and maybe that's not saying much. I've been watching basketball for maybe 15 years, or maybe a little bit less than that. So of course I've never seen it, but has anybody seen this level of passing out of the center position? Don't give me Sabonis. Don't give me that stuff. This is like more than generational. This is just, I don't know. It's almost once in a lifetime type of talent from the big man, from your center. And then also have the ability to go get 50 of the most effortless looking points I've ever seen. In a loss, by the way, which was a deflating point in the series for the Nuggets. And I did start to have the question. That's when I was like, oh my God, they lost Chris Paul. They won 2 straight. Jokic just did everything he could. And this Nuggets team couldn't help him. But it looks like the law of averages has kicked in, and no team has won on the road yet, so the series doesn't start till a team wins on the road, right? But Murray, outside of his Game 2 blunder, has been mostly pretty good. He has scary moments tonight where he turned his ankle over, and you kind of were like, oh my God, here we go again with Jamal Murray. And then he falls over, grabs his wrist. I don't know how much of that is like cinema, or if he's really just out there just getting banged up like that. The ankle thing up was obvious. Like, it was like, oh wow, he actually, like, that did not look good. That was the same. This is very similar to how Butler rolled his, and then Butler had to miss a game. So I don't think we're going to see that with Murray. He looked pretty spry, looked real good for the remainder of the game. The minutes for Booker and Durant are starting to get buku, and I think it's maybe taking its toll. They go 18 for 43 combined tonight. Durant with 5 turnovers. Durant starts this game over 5, doesn't look very good, and you're just starting to think okay, after you play 45, 46, 45, 46 minutes in these games, it's going to start to add up, and Durant is no spring chicken. He's 34 years old, and it's part of the reason I did not want the Celtics to get involved in the trade for him, although after tonight, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and being like, hey, would you ever think that? Just kidding. I'm still not on the... I keep going back to the Celtics series, man. I am distraught. I'm not cut out to be doing this. I should have waited a day. I'm still thinking about this team. Fuck, they piss me off so much, man. But God, I love them. I'm addicted. It's such a toxic relationship. Anyway, Durant and Booker look a little shaken up. The final shooting stuff isn't as bad as maybe it seems, or as it looked rather, but Nuggets really never struggled with this one. Not a single Nuggets player ever had to even think about playing 40 minutes. So it was kind of a regular season game for the Nuggets. Jokic gets to about 36, 37 minutes. And you got to factor in this Denver home court advantage. And I know it's like everything, like altitude is like Twitter's favorite buzzword right now, because everybody just found out where Denver is, and like that it's elevated, and as it's harder to play there, but it's true. Like they have always had a little bit of a home court advantage, especially in the regular season, where you might play a game in like San Antonio and then turn around and play in Denver, and it's like, God, those couldn't be 2 more different climates, especially depending on what time of the year it is. It can be hard on your body. And the perfect example is a team from Phoenix, Arizona, who played in Phoenix, 2 nights ago, and now is in Denver playing in Denver. After being on short rest, after playing so many minutes, such a heavy workload, if your body's not conditioned for it, I'm not saying Booker and Durant aren't conditioned. I don't know that anybody's capable of becoming so conditioned that they can play 45 plus minutes in these games and then turn around, jump on a jet, go to Denver, and then play a game, in 2 nights. And now they're going to go back to Phoenix. I would not be shocked if they won that game at home. Phoenix has been obviously perfect at home in this series. But I still like Denver in this one, man. And I was thinking along the lines of, I don't know who in the West could be capable of stopping Denver. They were my pick at the beginning of the postseason, but I don't know. LA looks good. LA's got a lot of guys they can trust, right? And then add Lonnie Walker to that list because he comes out and he's guns blazing. I still like Denver. I wouldn't be shocked if Phoenix won Game 6, but anytime you've got the home court advantage, they're in Denver. They have the best player in the series. This series, I don't think it's been close. Jokic's been insane. Uh, he's been incredible, and that's including the fact that Booker's been amazing. And Booker is maybe the biggest beneficiary ever of having Kevin Durant on his team. It doesn't matter. I think Booker could have 100 points, and there would still be multiple pairs of eyes focused on Kevin Durant. That's not to say that Booker doesn't draw double teams still. He does, especially if he's on the floor by himself without Durant. And he's been shooting the ball really well. Booker has. Tonight was the first night, like all playoffs, where it was like it didn't look like the ball was really falling for him, like he'd want it to. But I like Denver. I like Denver to probably win in 6, but if it's 7, it's 7. Lakers and Warriors. LeBron, Steph. I'd say it's lived up to the hype, but not if it ends in not if it ends in 5. I don't think it'll end in 5. Game 5 being Golden State. It's going to be really hard to close out the Warriors, who are in desperation mode, who are the reigning champions, who've been here, done that. Steph Curry was incredible in Game 4, by the way. 31, 10, 14, 3 steals. Wasn't perfect, shot 40%. Missed the 3 at the end of the game. And, we could talk about that shot. It's Steph Curry. I don't care where he shoots it from. If Steph Curry wants to take a shot, he should take the shot. Yeah, he was incredible, and it didn't matter. Lakers were awesome. LeBron is awesome. He's so incredible and picks his spots with great precision. He's so smart. He is directing traffic on the floor on both sides of the ball. If you haven't seen the clip yet, there's that final steal that Davis grabs, and LeBron is he just, as soon as he sees Wiggins go to set an off-ball screen, he just points. He just points at Davis. Go hard to that corner. There's nobody in that corner yet, but Clay's going to be in that corner, and they just throw it there like second nature, muscle memory, and they don't even pay attention to the fact that Davis is right there. He grabs that ball, game over. So LeBron's kind of figured them out at this point, and after playing them for so many years, you wouldn't, it's not that surprising. But age 38, man. Age 38. Don't forget that, and don't take him for granted. He is the best. If you don't think he's the greatest player ever, he's the greatest player of at least this generation of the last 20 years. But I think that man is the greatest player of all time. And it would not be the worst thing in the world for him to get another title, albeit with the Lakers. But the Lakers still have some catching up to do to the Celtics anyway, because when you consider that none of the Minneapolis titles don't count because they won't retire George Mikan's jersey. Well, then yeah, you realize that there's still a few titles behind the Celtics, so it doesn't really matter. I'm being petty now. Because my team's down 3-2 and the Lakers are up 3-1. Oh man. Well, we've reached the point of the podcast where if you're still here, you're a lifer, you're a truther. Man, I'm cooked emotionally. I'm drained physically. This has been a 49-minute escapade. I'm gonna do one more glance over the notes. Like I said, if you're here right now, you're here for this stuff. You're here for you didn't get the banter at the front of the episode. You did. The opening bit was banter. But man, I'm just so tired, man. I'm just so tired. I gotta get to bed. I gotta think about this. Look, if you're here, you've put up with the Celtics shit, you want more Celtics shit. So here we go. I wrote things the Celtics should do in this series. They should double Embiid every time. Pretty much every time. And Jaylen Brown, we were doing that. I never really did the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum thing. I just kind of said that the argument was stupid. I don't need to make the argument. Jaylen Brown leaving Harden wide open in game 4 to hit that three was so stupid. Like, such an airhead move. Like, if Embiid scores down there on Tatum, so what? It's a tie game. You get the ball back. You play to win. You play for the last shot. You either win or you go to overtime. It's a double overtime. Who cares if the game's tied? Like, yeah, Embiid's that deep. He's got Tatum sealed off. He's probably going to score. Who cares? Because there's still a chance he misses. Chance he fumbles the ball, dribbles out the clock. These are all things Embiid sometimes routinely does. And instead, you allow him to make the easiest pass in the world to Harden, who, admittedly, being a James Harden fan much of his career, I can sit here and tell you he's not a catch and shoot guy. And then Doc Rivers' whole thing telling everybody that's what he does. That's why he practices that. It's like, okay, he doesn't. I want to see video proof of him practicing catch and shoot threes. But they should double Embiid, man. Not in the way that Brown did. Double off of guys like Harris, double off of guys like Niang. Harris has been good in the series, by the way. Credit to him. But still, if the choice is Embiid or Harris, give me Harris, yeah. Double off of guys like Niang, double off of guys like Paul Reed, double off of guys like even Maxey. And I went down a dark path tonight. I even did a thing where I think I tweeted it. Maybe I should delete it. But is Maxey better than Jaylen Brown? Are we ready for that discussion? I don't think we're actually ready for that discussion, but in this series, it's definitely been a conversation, and Maxey's been excellent. But point being, double off some of these role guys, because anytime they're forced to make a decision, Tucker included. Also, don't leave Tucker open in the corner. He's proven he can make that shot. He's been making that shot. He's going to probably continue to make that shot if he's wide open. If nobody's in the same zip code as him, he's probably going to make it. But still, double off of these guys. Force Embiid into traffic. Show him different looks. Show him Grant Williams. Show him, even if you're showing Grant Williams for a few minutes at a time, throw him something different, man. When you just throw him Horford down the floor, Rob Williams is not going to guard Embiid. I don't care what you say, man. He's an excellent defensive player, more so for his help side stuff, for his shot blocking abilities and stuff like that, but he's not going to guard Embiid straight up, and he's at least not going to do it well. Look to score inside when Embiid is off the floor. Embiid will come off the floor, and then they will still continue to perpetually shoot threes, and it pisses me off. I hate it so much. Look, I understand when Embiid's on the floor, if he's not out on the perimeter guarding Al, he's probably in close enough proximity to the basket to swat your shit in third row. It is what it is. Say, yeah, try to kill him with perimeter shooting. Yeah, look, I get the intention of the Celtics and of Al Horford to get up shots early and often, so that way Embiid has a reason to go out there. But when you're 0 for 7, stop. Okay, stop. When you're about 0 for 3, start to rethink things, because you're just proving more and more why he does not have to go out there and guard you. Pretty frustrating game tonight. Just not a lot. There's really no redeeming qualities of this game. Tatum played hard. That's it. Star player played hard. Great. That's awesome. Real redeeming qualities, guys. Pretty bummed out about the whole thing. So, is what it is. It's game 5, not game 7, so it's not over yet. It's just this team continually puts themselves in poor position when, they don't have to. But at the end of the day, I guess they are a younger team. But some of the stuff is veterans, right? Like Marcus Smart. Some of the stuff is Al Horford. Some of the stuff is coaching. And I think we're well coached, but not greatly coached. I think Doc Rivers can find holes in a rookie head coach and a rookie Joe Mazzulla. I'm done. I'm done. This was mostly a Celtics pity party, with some other stuff twinkled in it. Promising more energy on the next one. Unless with who's game 6, then I probably won't record for about a week or so. So, or until I just feel good again. Don't feel good right now, guys. So please, Celtics, figure it out. That's it for this one. Did not think I was going to go an hour on this, but had to have a little therapy session. So thank you for fighting through it with me. Celtics fans, rock on. I promise to get some other teams more involved as long as the Celtics win the next game. Okay, that's been it from me. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.